Alright now, I've been wanting to make this video since I finished Sword and Shield. Due to school, social life, and, well, quarantine kinda, taking up my life now, I haven't exactly had the time. Originally, I was just wanting to shoot this without a script, and I did try doing that, but I ended up figuring that if I was going to do this, I ought to do it right. So without further ado, let's talk about Pokemon Sword and Shield. To begin, I'll go ahead and get this out of the way now. I only played Sword. I know the major differences between Sword and Shield, such as the Gigantamaxes that are available, the gym leaders, and your obvious legendary, but I don't know of anything really else aside from those few things. I mean, I know that there's like some version exclusive Pokemon, but those are here nor there. So, that out of the way, let's just get started. As far as reviewing Sword, and ergo Shield, goes, I want to tackle this in a few different areas. Typically, when I review a game, I analyze the story, gameplay, setting, characters, music, all that jazz. But because Pokemon is really bare bones and just incredibly basic, it seems kind of pointless to do things as normal, so I'll just be specifically analyzing this game the way that I feel a Pokemon game should be analyzed. Through its Pokemon, the region, the gyms and league, the lore and story, and the characters. So let's do that, but backwards. Starting with the characters, all in all, they're alright. Some of them stick out better than others, and, I mean, they should. Leon instantly becomes an icon, Hop is a fairly decent rival, I can't remember the villain's name, and lastly, notable, in my opinion, Piers and Marina basically just, or Marnie, not Marina, Marnie, sorry, they basically just sell the whole game. Leon makes for a really unique champion. Now, I say this in comparison to the previous champions that we've had before. Lance, Blue, Steven, Wallace, Cynthia, Alder, Iris, Diantha, and I suppose you could include Trace. We know Red is also classified as a champion, although he isn't categorized as such when you battle him in the Johto games. Kukui also doesn't count since you battle him after you become the champion. He's simply just the last thing standing in your way, even though you've already been declared as champion. Leon stands out most among them, and not just because he's wearing shorts. Leon is extremely extroverted and practically a celebrity in Galar. Granted, most of the League members of any game are treated as such. Even in the anime, League members are seen as like demigods, so it's a big deal when one crosses your way. This picture here, this like little tier list I've put together, is how I would place the Pokemon champions on a tier list. Leon is up there, in my opinion, with the likes of Blue and Lance. I feel like what favors Leon over Lance is purely their personality. I favor Blue over Leon because when you encounter Blue each time, he's just being a huge jerk to you. Him being the final boss in the original games is just fitting in every sense of the word. Cynthia and Steven I have up top because of their difficulty. Beating them actually means something from a gameplay perspective. They're challenging, just as a champion should be. I won't discuss the other gym leaders here simply because they aren't of the topic, for now anyways, but that's my thought on Leon. Hop, being Leon's brother, I feel is a really solid move. It kinda adds that incentive to Hop of wanting to be better than you, other than just the fact he wants to be better than you. He also wants to be better than his brother. He wants to live up to his older brother's expectations and standards, and not live in his older brother's shadow anymore. The way that Hop develops throughout the game after suffering several defeats is really spectacular. I have been desperately wanting a rude and mean rival since Generation 6, however I didn't feel like Hop needed to be mean or rude. I simply would have liked to have him to be more challenging, which is kind of a common theme that you'll find within my Pokemon videos, is I complain about the difficulty a lot being super easy, but, I mean, that's just me. Next up is the villain. Being completely honest, the story in this game is rather weak. Now, I'll touch upon that a little bit later, but I need to talk about it at least a little bit, or else I can't really discuss the villain. So, the villain in this game is, surprise surprise, a billionaire. Essentially, I don't know, how well-versed everyone watching this video is, but all the villains in every Pokemon game, except the Hoenn games, have basically been implied, if not straight up declared, that they're billionaires. Think about it. Giovanni is a gym leader, which means that he has to be somewhat well off, with that kind of a job. The man has several secret hideouts. He has enough money to buy so much like personnel and agents and stuff. I mean, like, he's not just like paying random people, like he's paying threatening people, because like Team Rocket took over Silphco. They had a secret hideout in the casino. Like, Team Rocket is kind of threatening. So Cyrus from Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum also runs a huge mega corporation with loads of labs and higher-up personnel. In from Black and White is a literal prince. And then forgive me, I don't really know how to pronounce this guy's name, but Lysandre, I'm going to call him. Lysandre is also a billionaire. He's like this huge like media icon. In fact, one of the Pokemon League members from X and Y actually works for him. So Lysandre is, you know, he's up there. And I would include Team Skull, but in Sun and Moon it's revealed that they're not actually the bad guys, and the bad guy is, surprise, surprise, a billionaire. Point being, the villain was not only repetitive, as far as like the whole method behind the madness goes, but his character was just annoying too. I loved it when I got to beat him up to a pulp, because he was just vexing to be around. Every time he was on screen, I just hated him. At least Giovanni, In, and even Cyrus provoke a meaningful, challenging threat within their arc, and like, you know, the whole plot of the game, and when you're battling the evil team, and their personalities as well. Literally, I cannot even tell you the villain's name in Sword and Shield. I have forgotten because I never cared enough. As for Piers and Marnie, holy crap, yes. These two siblings alone, in my opinion, are worth buying the game for. Marnie isn't all that interesting, in my opinion. She's kind of the weaker link between the two, but her relationship with the Team Yell members is just something that's really cute and unique and you can't really pass up on. Team Yell, to no one's surprise, is not actually an evil team out with some world-ending scheme. They're simply fans of Marnie, and their quote-unquote leader is Piers, who also is a gym leader. Not only is Piers unique amongst the other Galarian gym leaders because of his relationship to Marnie, but he also refuses to Dynamax his Pokemon, and that's just kind of like the main concept of Sword and Shield, is like, hey, the gym leaders all, you know, can Dynamax their Pokemon. They're super big and they're super challenging. Look at this, look at that. But Piers really just refuses that. He rebukes it. Piers believes that it's not meant to be utilized and abused, Dynamaxing that is, because, you know, of this. Whenever I battle Piers personally, I just respectfully don't Dynamax or Gmax. If the man cares that much about his ideology that he won't do it in like an official tournament setting, then yeah, I'll respect that. Sure, we'll handicap ourselves. Hashtag Piers is the best gym leader ever. Now, I know that there are plenty of other characters in the game, like Sonia, but to be honest, I don't have much to say about them. The ones that I mentioned are the ones that I felt like the game highlighted most, and for that, I discussed them. If you want to know more about the characters that I left out, I would suggest you just play the game, or you can ask me specifically about each character in the comments below. Next up, let's talk about the lore and the story. So, essentially, you and your rival decide to become Pokemon trainers, now supposedly that you're both 10 years old. Naturally, your rival, Hop, his older brother, aka your idol, gives you your first starter Pokemon. After you go about your own business, getting a Pokédex and traveling across the lands, you start your quote-unquote gym challenges. Typically, the gym challenges are met with a little minigame segment you need to complete in order to battle the gym leader. Easy peasy. You defeat all 8 of them, and then blam! The bad guy is trying to harness the power of Eternatus, the Pokemon from outer space whose body parts make Pokemon go big. No joke. You beat an angered Eternatus, thus foiling the villain's plans, and I seriously don't remember. Does he die? Does he get arrested? I just don't remember. And then you go to the Pokemon League. Now this is really cool. Your first time in the league, you have to battle your 3 rivals, Hop, Marty, and Bede. I forgot to mention Bede. His story arc is actually kind of cool, alongside some of the gym leaders that you've previously defeated. After beating them in a tourney-styled bracket, which they took from the anime, you battle Leon. You defeat him, and you're declared champion. Easy peasy. Surprise to no one, the game doesn't stop there. The game's post-game isn't really much of a post-game. They could have easily put it between, you know, the whole Eternatus bit and the Pokemon League, but it happens after everything. And all that really happens is that these 2 morons here show up and they think that they're better than everyone, and they try to capture the box art legendaries, Zacian and Zamazenta. You defeat them, and then you acquire the box art legendary of your game, with Hop catching the other one. So if you get Zacian, Hop will get Zamazenta. If you get Zamazenta, Hop will get Zacian. Now the game is finished. Overall, yeah, it's just pretty bland Pokemon stuff as usual. As far as the story goes, alone, I'd give it probably a 1 out of 5, equivalent that to like a 3 out of 10. But the handful of the characters is really, in my opinion, what makes the game tick. And for that, I'd probably bump up the story to like a 6.5 out of 10. Yeah, I know that's a huge jump, but hey, I like the characters that much, at least the ones that I mentioned. Now let's talk about the gym and league. Well, I guess I already talked about the league a bit, so I'll focus more on the gyms. As I've already covered a good bit of details surrounding the characters and such, the main thing here that I'm going to be focusing on is like the gym's types. Sword and Shield have a couple of different gym leaders and thus types depending on what game you play. All in all though, here are the total types that are available to battle. Grass, Water, Fire, Ghost or Fighting, Fairy, Ice or Rock, Dark, and Dragon. A total of 10 different gym types. I'll say Grass, Water, and Fire being the first 3 is kind of lame. I get why they do it, because those 3 are like the main types, you know, the types that you can pick out of your starters, but still. I can't recall us ever having a late game Grass gym leader in any of the Pokemon games before. I know we had Wallace for Water and Blaine for Fire, but that's about it. Give us a difficult, hard Grass late game gym leader. Like, that would be really cool, like a Venusaur with Protect, Toxic, Leech Seed, a really stally out moveset, you know, that focuses on HP or status conditions, you know, like what Grass types specialize in. Ghost or Fighting is cool for the 2 games considering how opposite they are. Granted, Ghost and Normal are technically the 2 opposing types since neither of those affect each other, but I think Fighting works better here. I mean, I like Bay. I like her a lot in Sword, so this just kind of works well. I absolutely love the Fairy Gym and just Opal as a character, and especially how she interacts with you, the player character, and then Bead. Next up is honestly my least favorite gym of the bunch. I kid you not, when I went through Gordy's gym, without blinking an eye, I was just so like, wait, what happened? Like, oh, I got my 6th badge? I did? Oh, I forgot. You know, time to go battle Piers. It was way too easy, it was super unmemorable, and just all around dull. I don't know how well his mother's gym is in Pokemon Shield, but sheesh. Gordy, Geordi, whatever his name is, I don't really care for him at all. When I met with him in the post-game, I was like, oh, who are you? I've already spoken my piece about Piers. He's easily the best. He stands out the most out of all of them, in my opinion. Now, Raihan is interesting. I thought he was annoying at first just because of how like energetic he was. He was energetic like Leon, except he was almost arrogant about it. But I don't know, to be the one gym leader that Leon actually states could beat him or has that kind of potential is truly remarkable. Like Normal, I just wish he kind of lived up to that. Now let's talk about Galar. Galar, as everyone knows, is based on England, specifically London. For a game that's based on England, the only main thing throughout the game that reminded me of that was the character dialogue, words like mum instead of mom, and how the gyms are set up like football games. All in all, I feel like the England theme here totally missed its mark. It was like they couldn't decide on making Galar either modern England or like medieval England, and so they tried to blend the 2 ideas in a pseudo-steampunk fashion. It's alright, it just doesn't scream England to me. Unova, Kalos, and Alola, in my opinion, do a much better job at reinventing their inspiration's location, culture, and more. The best thing about Galar, in my opinion, for sure, is the wild areas. It's a tad shame that we should not ever see them again, knowing how Game Freak is when they handle Pokemon gimmicks. I mean, look at triple battles, rotation battles, mega evolutions, Z moves, etc. It seems like the only thing that really stuck around was Gen 2's, oh shoot, what were they? You know, the Genders and the egg thing, and then I believe Natures were in Gen 3. That really seems to be the only thing that stuck around. Not even contests stuck around for that long. They were Generation 3 and 4, and then they left. Finally, let's talk about the Pokemon. So for this bit, I'm just going to pull up the National Dex, and then I'll give my thoughts on every Pokemon, or at least every evolutionary line. So without further ado, let's get this done. Alright gamers, we are here to get this bread, and we're going to do so looking at the National Dex here on Bulbapedia. First off, I want to look at Meltan and Melmetal. I know that these two don't actually have official dex numbers, because I'm pretty sure they're available in Sun and Moon. I know you can put them in Sword and Shield, but for Sun and Moon, you know, it has their dex numbers as, like, spaces. I thought they were put, you know, I thought they actually changed the dex number and put them all the way up here, like, after Mew and Mewtwo. I thought they were 152 and 153. I could be wrong, but I thought that's what was said. But anyway, yeah, let's talk about, you know, Gen 8. So the Rillaboom line I really like. I don't really think that it fits England, but like out of like all the potential fan art that I've seen this going, you know, for like Generation 8 Grookey, Rillaboom just looks the best. I think Thwackey could have been better, but Rillaboom, in my opinion, is a great way to just, you know, you go from Grookey to Rillaboom. Boom. Perfect. Easy. Scorbunny is a little difficult for me. So, I could not tell you this thing's name here for the life of me. In my opinion, the middle evolutions of Pokemon are really kind of lackluster, at least for a good majority of them. Generation 2s are nice. Generation 1 is just because it's Generation 1. Generation 3 is nice. Generation 4 is nice. Generation 5 and onwards is where I think middle evolutions kind of started lacking. Pignite, Dewott, and Servine, I think that's the middle one. They were Generation 6 with Quilladin, Frogadier, and Braixen was Generation 7 with Dartrix, Primarina. No, Primarina is the middle evolution, or the final. Torracat is the middle one for Litten. I can't remember the last, or the middle water one. I think it's like Drizzle or something. But anyway, or no, wait, what did I just do? Can we go undo? Can we undo that? No. Oh, I pulled up the source code for the website. That's funny. No, because Drizzle's here. Oh well. I don't remember. It's not all that important. But anyway, so middle evolutions here, I'm not really that much of a fan of. And that's really showed with Raboot. Now, what I like about Scorbunny's evolution is the whole soccer theme that they have going on, because, you know, England and football is a great little thing with England and Galar. So I like the inspiration, but when I first looked at Cinderace, I for real thought that it was the middle evolution. It looks a little incomplete. It doesn't look like it's fully tapped in. It just, in my opinion, looks like a middle evolution. So I think that Cinderace should have been the middle, and then they would have had something bigger and better for the final one. So with Sobble's evolution, I like Inteleon a lot. I like the whole spy theme that they have going on. With, you know, obviously James Bond, which everyone put as James Pond. Really cool, really nice. Now, actually, what I think the three here are supposed to represent is obviously Cinderace is football, is soccer. Inteleon is, like, you know, media, you know, with, like, spy and spy movies and all that. I'm pretty sure Rillaboom is supposed to represent rock music, since rock really came out of England with the Beatles and all of them. I mean, like, that's really, I think, what Rillaboom is going for, is, you know, the whole, like, Beatles vibe and just old classic rock. Scorbunny is football again. Inteleon is, you know, spy stuff. The Greedent line, I don't care about. It's just your typical normal thing. The Corviknight line, I like a lot. And at first, I completely missed the fact that Rookidee and Corvisquire are pure flying. Aside from these two Pokemon, the only other pure flying type we have is Tornadus and its two forms. So having pure flying is kind of nice here. Having the typical normal double attachment wouldn't really do anything. Because, I mean, like, when you look at the whole type's advantages and disadvantages, the only thing that I believe it actually does is make them immune to Ghost, which, in my opinion, they should be. And secondly, what's the other thing? Is fighting does normal damage. Instead of not very effective or super effective, it just does normal damage. So here we have fighting not doing, just not being very effective, and then Ghost affecting these two. Those are the only things that I can recall normal having a difference in. But yeah, so we have pure flying, and then it gains this steel type with Corviknight. So I love its design, and I like that it's a steel type. I wonder how like it would have ended up though if it would have been flying in dark, because it also looks like that it could be a dark type. I don't really have much else to say about that, but yeah, I mean, I like it. It's Gmax. is eh. So like I have this whole like thing when it comes to like G-Maxes and what they could have been, which is just another stage of evolution. I'll get to that by the end of this video. But yeah, Corviknight's G-Max is alright. I love Orbeetle. I love this whole line here. I got Blipbug at the beginning purely because I looked up what it evolved into, and I really like Orbeetle. Its G-Max being a UFO is super cool. I love the Orbeetle. I love Orbeetle. I don't really care for Blipbug or Dottler. I mean, I caught a Blipbug and grew it into a Dottler. But Orbeetle is just what I'm a fan of. So Orbeetle gets a pass for me. Nickit and Thievul is alright. You gotta have, you know, some mediocre Pokemon here. Now, it being a fox is cool because a lot of people associate fox, in my opinion, with like Robin Hood, specifically because of the Disney film. And you have Robin Hood, you have England. So, I mean, like, Thievul's cool. I wish it probably would have just been something else aside from just a standard fox. But the whole thing with Pokemon, you know, is that they're other animals, you know, is that, you know, unlike the typical animals that we have in real life, you know, with like dogs and cats and actual foxes and horses, we have the same thing, but they're like super powered because, you know, they're like Pokemon. They, you know, we have this horse Pokemon here that can shoot fire, you know, it's Ponyta or Rapidash. So I wish that they would have done something a little unique here rather than just, oh, it's a fox, you know. So, Gossifleur, Eldegoss, or Eldegoss, it's alright. I wish they would have had a dual type, specifically like either fairy. Eldegoss makes me think flying, because I think of Hiphop's evolution, or Hoppip, whatever its name is. Yeah, no, I think Gossifleur definitely looks like a fairy type. But yeah, no, they're just pure grass, which is alright. Wooloo and Dubwool, I think, had a lot of potential, not just with their... I mean, I think them being a pure normal type is nice, but I wish that they would have ended up being a little more iconic. For example, like Snorlax is a pure normal type, but it's iconic. It's iconic because it was in the anime, it's iconic because it's just a tank, it's iconic because it was laying on its back for like 20 years. So, like, Snorlax is iconic. Because this is essentially Hop's ace Pokemon, Dubwool, and Wooloo, I think that it would have been cool for them to, like, utilize that. Like, give it a Dynamax, you know? Or just something to really capitalize on that. So that's my thoughts on the Dubwool line. Choodle and Dreadnought. Same thing with Cinderace and Scorbunny here. I feel like this is completely incomplete. From it going water to water rock is really, really weird because this thing either just should have been water rock to begin with or it should have remained pure water. It didn't need that ×4 grass weakness. If it was going to get ×4 grass weakness, it being a ground type would have been better because then it would have been immune to electric. But yeah, so Dreadnought just looks completely incomplete. In my opinion, its Gigantamax, where it stands on 2 legs, should have been its final evolution. Just cut the Gigantamax, just make its Gigantamax model a final evolution. It should have been that. And I'll talk about that at the at the end of here. So Baltund and Yamper. Yamper was cool. Yamper had a lot of personality in the game because it's like Sonia's Pokemon. You know, you see it here and there in the game with Sonia. I believe it makes an appearance in the anime, and essentially, I think this is supposed to be the... Oh wait, no, it's not. I was gonna say, I think this is supposed to be the Pikachu clone, but it's not. We have a Pikachu clone. Oh wait, no, that's not in this game, is it? Or is it not an electric type? It's, shoot, what's Marnie's Pokemon? It's not an electric type, is it? Morpeko. Oh yeah, it is. Electric and Dark. Okay. So Baltund and Yamper, kind of cool, just also a little incomplete. I mean, it's kind of the same thing with Thievul. I wish they would have done something a little more unique, because, I don't know, I look at Yamper and Baltund, and I think of a lesser Manectric and Electrike. Yeah. Roly-Poly, Karkle, and Colossal, I think, is a really interesting line. I wish that it would have just been better, like, stat-wise and its move pool. But I love the line for what it is. I think its designs are really, really nice. It's basically like Golem being an actual, you know, Golem. But yeah, so I like the Colossal line a lot, you know, with the typing. I think the typing is really cool, even though it's really, you know, this typing is not good. It's ×4 weak to water, Fighting still beats it. Ground beats it ×4. Not the greatest, but I love its design. I'm pretty sure this thing gets a Gigantamax. I don't recall seeing it, because, you know, Gordy. But anyway, so Applin, Flapple, and Appletun, despite, you know, the whole meme about Applin being a dragon type, even though it's like a grass apple, I think Flapple's really cool. I don't really care for Appletun. I think Flapple could have evolved further into like a Flygon-looking-esque Pokemon. But I do like how we have, you know, Flapple and Appletun, you know, 2 different evolution forms, or actually just 2 different evolutions in general, simple to Gardevoir and Gallade. The difference with that, though, is that obviously those 2 have different types. Gardevoir is Fairy, with Gallade being Fighting. So I either wish we would have gotten something here, like make Applin Pure Grass, make Flapple Grass Dragon, and make Appletun Grass Poison, or, I don't know, probably Pure Grass. But yeah, so I favor Flapple out of them just because of its design. But yeah, and then the fact that these 2 share a Gigantamax is cool, but its Gigantamax looks more like Appletun, and it looks more like a mix between Applin and Appletun. It just kind of erases what Flapple was, which, I don't know, it just kind of backtracks for me, which I don't think it should have done. So next we have the Sandaconda line. A little more wasted potential, in my opinion. Ground and Poison would have been nice, and its Gigantamax form was cool with it being, you know, like this huge tornado. But yeah, Ground and Poison I would have appreciated more. Keep Silcobra ground, with Sandaconda being ground poison. Would have been nice. Cramorant being flying water is really cool. Its ability is really cool. I don't really have anything else to say about that. Arukutta and Barrascuda. Anyways, these being pure water is alright. A little incomplete, although I like Barrascuda gets more of a pass than Baltoon and Thievul, in my opinion. I just like it more. Next we have Toxel and Toxtricity, and I love this line. I love this this typing, the electric poison thing. ×4, weak to ground, who cares? Earthquake is a super competitive stab move for most Pokemon. Doesn't matter. Life Orb would OHKO this thing. Doesn't matter. Actually, just regular Earthquake would OHKO this thing, because it's really frail. But Toxtricity is just a super cool Pokemon. In my opinion, I know that we have Morpeko being the Pikachu clone, but I wish it would have been this, because the Pikachu clones have not evolved since Pikachu. We had Pichu in Generation 2, which obviously was just Pikachu. Minun and Plusle, Generation 3, Pachirisu, Generation 4, Amalga, Generation 5. What's the Generation 6 one? I don't think I can remember that. But I don't think that evolved either. Generation 7, I know for a fact didn't evolve. That was like the Steel and Electric one. I'm pretty sure that was Generation 7. And then we have Morpeko, which doesn't evolve. Toxel. If Toxel just, I don't know, was more akin to Pikachu, this would have been perfect. This would have been like the iconic rival to Raichu. So, which kind of gets, you know, onto the whole Dynamax thing. Pikachu having a Dynamax with Toxtricity having a Dynamax, whatever. I think Toxel should have been the Pikachu Echo. Now, obviously, it doesn't look a thing like Pikachu. It doesn't even resemble, you know, Morpeko hardly at all. But I think that it would have been really cool. But aside from that, I love this Pokemon. I mean, I love the Pokemon in general. That was just kind of a brain fart that I had right there. Centiskorch, I thought was a little wasted potential. I thought Centiskorch was the baby. I didn't think that it had an evolution because I didn't see it up until the gym leader. Now, I love its Gigantamax form, but it's one of those things to where it could have also been an evolution. Either an evolution or, you know, I guess it was fine as a Gigantamax. But Sizzlipede, I don't think really needed to exist. I think it just should have been a standard Centiskorch. I don't think it needed a pre-evolution. It was fine by itself. Clobbopus and Grapplotte should have been fighting water. That's a huge meme, especially with the DLC having an actual fighting water like Polar Bear. That's not, you know, it's not even a polar bear. It's just a regular bear, and it's a fighting water type. So these two being actual octopus or octopi definitely should have been fighting water. Sinistea and Poltergeist is great. A lot of people, in my opinion, I've seen that some people wanted this to be Ghost Steel for its design, but we have Aegislash or Aegislash, Aegislash is already an iconic Pokemon in and of itself. It's rather decent when it comes to competitive play. It's one of my favorite Pokemon, in all honesty. So having another Ghost Steel type that just obviously design-wise doesn't live up to it, I don't think is necessary. I like the whole theme that it's going for, you know, like haunted Tubaware, or not Tubaware, but, you know, like haunted, you know, tea and stuff like that. Really cool, really nice, hands down for me. So the Hatterene line, the first two being Psychic and then it gaining the Fairy typing is really weird. I think it just should have been straight up Psychic Fairy throughout the whole line. I did not mean to do that. I mean, that's what they ended up doing with Ralts and, you know, the Gardevoir line, is they just made it Psychic Fairy, Psychic Fairy, Psychic Fairy, and then if you want to Gallade, Psychic Fighting. So I think that this should have been Psychic Fairy all the way through. I don't think there was much of a reason for these two not to be Fairy, because these two, in my opinion, look more Fairy than Hatterene. Like, Hatterene almost looks like, you know, Gen 5 Gothorita. Like, it just looks like a Fairy version of Gothorita. So these two actually looking more Fairy-esque than Gothorita would have been better, in my opinion. So the Grimmsnarl line, I absolutely love. It being a Dark Fairy type is absolutely amazing. Grimmsnarl's evolution, or just Gigantamax form, super cool. This, I would not change a thing here. I would probably make its stats more akin to a pseudo-legendary, but I think it already is close to a pseudo-legendary. Yeah, Grimmsnarl, awesome. Obstagoon, Berserker, Cursola, Sirfetch'd, and Mr. Rime. Actually, no, we have more. Yeah, Runerigus. So these Pokemon here are actually formed, or no, they're evolutions of forms of pre-existing Pokemon. So Obstagoon comes from Zigzagoon's line, but only Galarian Zigzagoon. Berserker comes from Meowth, but only Galarian Meowth. Cursola comes from Galarian Corsola. Sirfetch'd comes from Galarian Farfetch'd. Mr. Rime comes from Galarian Mr. Mime. And Runerigus comes from Galarian Yamask. So I think, okay, I love Cursola, you know, because it's supposed to be, oh, you know, we're treating the Earth horribly. You know, this is because of environment, what we're doing to our environment. Really cool. Should have been Ghost Water. Berserker being pure steel, I think is a little weird. Because I don't remember what type Galarian Meowth is. I'm pretty sure it's normal. To be completely honest, I thought this thing was normal dark for the longest time. And I know that's what Obstagoon is. But like between the two of these, I don't know which one would have been steel type. Probably Obstagoon in complete honesty. I don't think Berserker should have been a steel type. But I know why it is because the Meowth Alolan line is completely dark. We have Alolan Meowth and Alolan Persian, and those are completely dark types. So having another form of Meowth being dark doesn't make any sense. Them just having another form of Meowth in general doesn't make any sense. This, I wasn't... When they announced that Meowth was getting another form, I was like, it doesn't need one. That would be like giving Raichu another form. You just don't need it. So this one I don't feel like is necessary. Obstagoon being the only one out of the majority of these. Actually, no, Runerigus is Gen 5. But Obstagoon is weird. I didn't think that they needed to touch the Zigzagoon line. I'm not really complaining. I like its design. I don't think it really follows, because there's Zigzagoon, then there's Lanoon, and then there's Obstagoon. I don't really see how you go from Lanoon to Obstagoon. Either this thing needs to be on all fours, or Galarian Lanoon needs to be on its hind legs. I don't know. I don't see the correlation between its evolution. I like the typing. I like the fact that they were like, hey, let's give Zigzagoon a Galarian form. Cool. It's just weird, as in, like, design choice goes. Sirfetch'd is awesome. Should have been fighting flying, in my opinion. Hawlucha 2.0. But the pure fighting type isn't that bad. Mr. Rime is pretty cool. I like how it kept its, you know, its psychic typing, which is the only one to do that, aside from Obstagoon. Actually, no, Runerigus is still Ghost. But yeah, and it gains the ice typing, so Mr. Rime is cool. I like that a lot. Runerigus is cool. So Runerigus is the Galarian evolution of Yamask. So, let's look here. Can we see its pre-evolution? No, just TMs. In the anime, I don't need its anime, I just need its evolution. Evolution, here we go. Yeah, Yamask, alright. So, Galarian Yamask, here it is. So, Unova Yamask holds a mask with its tail here. Here, instead of a mask, its tail is just like cotton stone. So, Runerigus, instead of being a ghost haunting like a sarcophagus, is more so just like a haunted stone. Now, the whole thing with, a sarcophagus is, there's a dead person inside it. Here we just have a stone. So this is like, a haunted Pokemon, or like a haunted Pokemon's tomb, or something. But I don't know. I like this a lot. It's cool. It's all right. I don't know if I would have connected it to Yamask, but I like the typing in general. Here we have Milcery or Milcery and Alcremie. I like Alcremie a lot. Not sure if it needs a pre-evolution, but Alcremie in its Gigantamax forms is really cool. If I recall correctly, Alcremie is actually a Pokemon that has like different types of forms, similar to the bug from X and Y. Because you have like all these different types of like fruits that it can be. Like, yeah, lemon, salted, ruby. Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, so Alcremie's cool. Falinks not having an evolution or a pre-evolution is really weird. It just kind of sits here, like a Dunsparce. It being a fighting type is unique because it shows me that they wanted to do something with it. I feel like it needed a Gigantamax form, and there actually is a fan-made, what's the Pokemon name again? Falinks. Okay, Falinks G-Max. The G-Max for this, in my opinion, looks amazing. Look at this thing. Look at this. Wasted potential. Totally should have happened for Falinks. The Snom and Pinchurin line is really cool. Or actually, no, Pinchurin is by itself, even though it looks a lot like Snom. Snom evolving into Frosmoth is really cool in my opinion. It being Ice Bug is nice. Yeah, nothing wrong here. I really like that a lot. I'm pretty sure this has a Gigantamax form, but I've never seen it. Yeah. Stonjourner is cool because it's supposed to be, shoot, I can't even, it's supposed to be, shoot, what's it called? I feel like a retard. Especially because it's, like they did it in X and Y, with the hedges. It's one of the 7 wonders of the world. 7 wonders of ancient world, specifically. 7 wonders of the ancient worlds. Oh, did they change them? Because I don't remember learning about some of these in school. Yeah, it's the the wonders. Great Pyramid, Hanging Gardens, Temple of Artemis, Statue of Zeus at Olympia, Mausoleum, Castle, Lighthouse of Egg. Okay. Well, nope, it's not what I thought they were. I thought the stone hedges. Pretty sure that's what it's called, just the stone hedges. No? Are the stone hedges not one of them? I could have sworn it was. Or isn't that it right there? Stone hedges? 7 wonders? No? No. Well, the stone hedge, this Pokemon being based off that is really cool. It being pure rock is fine. So, Ice-Q? Oh yeah, Ice-Q, like Ice Cube. Ice-Q is cool. Wish it probably would have connected to Delibird, but it didn't. So there's that. So, in DD, I believe this is a Galarian pre-evolution of Dedenne. Let's see. It's a Psychic normal type. Does it have any relation to anything else? I can't tell. Let's see. What is this? Okay, no, Generation... Wait, yeah, Generation 5. It's talking about... Wait, no, that's not 5. What is this supposed to be? Origin. Greek mythology, blah, 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 blah. It's too close to dead, or to, what's it called? In the manga... It's too close to that... Okay, the Unovan Pokemon... Here, let's just look at Mega Evolution. It's that one Unovan Pokemon that's supposed to replace Chansey. And it's got a Mega. Was it which generation was it? Let's see here. Okay, okay, Audino. This thing looks like it connects to Audino. I mean, I guess it doesn't. It looks like a dark version of Audino. Look at that. It's way... Oh, wrong. Like this one specifically. This one here on the on the right. I assume because it's just male and female differences. Yeah, male. Yeah, okay, that's what it is. So, but yeah, it definitely looks like there was inspiration from Audino here. Yeah. So then we have Morpeko, which is meh. Then we have Cufant and Copperajah. Copperajah having a G-Max is cool. It's supposed to be the main villain's main Pokemon. It's fine. Nothing really too cool there. The fossils are cool. The fossils are really cool. I love the idea behind them. You know, the fact that it's like, oh, well, we messed up the fossils. This is what we got. Really cool. Decent. It's nice. A lot of people, you know, have like done fan art about what the fossils are supposed to look like, and there's speculation about whether or not Game Freak is actually going to do that, you know, like make it to where you can get their original forms. And in my opinion, I think that's, you know, that kind of takes the love away from it, you know, like the whole point, the whole concept of these 4 Pokemon is that mystery, is the fact that they, you know, they accidentally mixed the bodies together. Like that's the whole point. So I don't know. I feel like these 4 staying that way is just what is best. Then we have Duraludon, which is in desperate need of a of an evolution or something. Its G-Max, in my opinion, isn't enough for it to really exist, and the fact that it's Raihan's last Pokemon is really disappointing, in my opinion. Specifically when you like look at Leon's Charizard and then Duraludon, like. G-Max Duraludon looks like a G-Max, because G-Maxes are supposed to be like enhanced forms, not evolutions, just enhanced forms. And its G-Max does kind of fit that notion. It does kind of fit that idea, but it's just really lackluster. It just looks like a stretched out version of it. You know, like it looks like this huge skyscraper, which, you know, is the concept behind it. It looks like Kybercorp as a Pokemon, and. But yeah, that's basically my thoughts on Duraludon. Its typing is alright, you know, Dialga, Palkia, and then here we have Giratina. But yeah, Duraludon it's okay. So the Dragapult line I absolutely love and adore. I don't really have anything else for this. Its stats are great. It's a pseudo. It's perfect. It's cool. It's nice. I like it a lot. Zacian in Zamazenta is a little weird for me. The fact that Zamazenta is base fighting, Zacian is based fairy, and then they both gain steel when they have their weapons equipped is just really weird. Like, I don't know. Quadruped beasts being fighting type in Pokemon is always just kind of like, mead. You know, like... We have the Sacred Swords in Generation 5, I believe that's what they're called. You know, all of them are fighting type. There's Grass, Rock, Steel, and then the water fighting one, Keldeo. But I don't know, this is just, it's a little weird. I mean, like, I can kind of see Fairy, you know, because it's mythical and stuff like that, but like, you know, I mean, like, what makes this fighting and what makes this Fairy, you know? Like, the added steel makes sense. You know, because they get their weapons, sure, cool. But like, I don't know, their typing needs to be that. And like Solgaleo being psychic as well was like another thing that was just like, huh, for me. Lunala made sense. Lunala made a bit more sense. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't a fan of their typing. I think their designs and everything is cool. I think their role in the story is cool. I think the fact that you can't get them post game, as I've already stated, is, you know, it's kind of cool. It's unique because you get Eternatus, which is the 3rd one first, which is really strange. But yeah, so the typing for these two is weird, but overall it's alright. Eternatus is really cool. I wouldn't really change a thing about it. And then we have the other ones which are yet to come. Obviously they're supposed to come with the DLC, so we won't really talk about those. So next is Gigantamax Pokemon. Let's pull up a list of Gmax Pokemon, because some Pokemon that we covered that got new forms and new Gigantamaxes obviously weren't on that list. So Charizard getting a Gigantamax is cool. And actually, I want to say something as far as like Gigantamaxes and evolutions go. So the whole lore with Gigantamax is that this is what the Pokemon used to look like during like prehistoric times. Like, and then they just obviously, due to natural selection or whatever, they just ended up, you know, dying down. And they ended up being their regular Pokemon forms that we've grown to know and love since 1996, okay? So the whole idea here is that these Pokemon, you know, this is what they look like during prehistoric forms, okay? Specifically in Galar. So the fact that we have some returning Pokemon having them, like Snorlax, Eevee, Lapras, Kingler, Gengar, basically all these up here. I'm pretty sure these are in... Yeah, okay, these are in National Dex thing. So essentially, we only have one Generation 5 one here, which is really weird because we only had one Generation 5 Mega Evolution 2, which was Audino. But I'm pretty sure I just lost that. Yeah, here it is. So Garbodor here is okay, but Snorlax and up is a little weird because, you know, like all of these Pokemon, you know, we've known since 96. Some of these make sense. Like, for example, Charizard makes sense, you know, as a prehistoric version of Charizard. That looks like what I would think a prehistoric Charizard would look like if it'll load. Yeah, that looks all right. So Butterfree, kind of the same thing. This could have been, in my opinion, a Mega, except a Mega probably would have looked a little bit more big. Not big in size, but like, you know, with style. Like this just looks like Butterfree with its wings grown out, you know, not much change there. So that, you know, looks, because like the whole difference is that like a Gigantamax is a form, a Mega Evolution is an evolution. So you really need to decipher what looks like a Mega and what looks like a form, you know? So, like, the majority of these actually look like forms. Pikachu, that's a form, obviously. Butterfree's a form. Meowth looks like a form. Machamp, I think Machamp here is the one out of the returning Pokemon that warrants, hey, that's a new form the most. Like, they could have made this a Mega Evolution. Like, this has the potential of, like, typical other Megas. And, like, other Megas we have less changes in their design than this. But I think that this is really cool. This is exactly what another form of Machamp I would think of. You know, I wouldn't... When you think of Mega Machamp, you probably think of Machamp with like 8 arms or something, you know? But no, still 4 arms. It's bigger. Its arms are like super swole and a bit more like molten. Its eyes are like hollowed out a little bit. Like it's just bigger, which is what, you know, a prehistoric form of a Pokemon would look like. Gengar looks almost like a different version of its Mega Evolution, which actually I recall Tyranitar 2 pointed out in his video talking about Dynamaxes and stuff. So it looks a bit like Mega Gengar, but overall it's okay. I mean, like, I can kinda, you know, get behind Mega Gengar, or not Mega Gengar, but a prehistoric Gengar looking like this. I can sort of get behind that. But then, you know, you have Ghastly, then you have Haunter, and then you have this thing, you know? Like, yeah, Kingler, I like Kingler a lot, because, like, when people think prehistoric, they think dinosaurs. If Kingler was a dinosaur, this is exactly what Kingler would look like. I like that a lot. So Kingler, Lapras hardly has any changes. Its shell gets a bit bigger, but that's about it. And then it has these like ice music notes that it has following around it. But this is definitely a form. I don't know. This Kingler actually is a good example of what could have been a Mega Evolution. That looks a good bit like a Mega. I think on a scale between form and Mega, this does look more like a form. But that I don't know. I feel like that's enough to be a Mega in my opinion. Lapras is a form. Eevee's a form. Snorlax is a form. They could have made that a Mega, but I obviously understand why they didn't. So that's a form. Garbodor is a form. Melmetal is unique. I want to say that that's a form. Corviknight's a form. Orbeetle's definitely a Mega. Dreadnought is definitely a Mega. Coalossal is a form. Flapple and Appleton, I already kind of talked about that. Sandaconda is a form, maybe a Mega. Toxtricity is definitely a Mega. Centiskorch is definitely a form. Hatterene is definitely a form. Grimmsnarl could be a Mega. Alcremie's a Mega. Copperajah, probably a Mega. And then Duraludon being a form. So, like, that's what I'm talking about when it comes to, like, different forms and evolutions, you know, like, which ones qualify for what. So I think this could have been a Mega. This definitely could have been what Charizard Y could have looked like. I like this design over Charizard Y, but I like that they saved, because it's not just that these are different forms, these are prehistoric forms. So this being a prehistoric Charizard, I totally buy. Some of these not so much, like a prehistoric, you know, UFO beetle. That's not something I'd buy as much as the other ones. Where is it? Oh, there it is. So Corviknight is definitely a form, although I like it a lot because, you know, you think prehistoric, you just think bigger and better, which is what the Corviknight Gigantamax is. But like some of these definitely could have been Megas. Toxtricity, Grimmsnarl, Alcremie, Copperajah. Yeah, basically just the ones I already mentioned. Gengar looks like it's Mega. Kingler looks like a Mega. Charizard looks like a Mega, but it looks more like prehistoric, you know. I've already said that, but yeah, so, I mean, that's basically it. That's basically my thoughts and impressions on Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. So I know that the majority, the bulk of this video came from, you know, talking about the, you know, the whole Pokemon line, as in, like, everything that's in, all the new Pokemons from Sword and Shield. But, I mean, that's just kind of how you have to treat Pokemon, in my opinion, when it comes to, like, reviewing something this big and this important. I'm not going to really cover the whole, like, Pokemon Home incorporation, you know, of, like, bringing the other Pokemon. I'm going to have to talk about Pokemon Home in a separate video, and where I think they can go from there. Basically, where Pokemon can go from here. But, yeah, that's a topic for another video, probably coming out soon. As far as this goes, this was, yeah, reviewing Sword and Shield. Had a lot of fun with it. I'm glad to be back. So, anyway, guys, hope you all enjoyed. This is Jake, logging out. Peace.